Hi and welcome back to my channel. We've had two lots of visitors, Dave's family, and then the next weekend we had my older sister, and we had a beautiful get together with both of them. Oh, and in the meantime our daughter found her wedding dress. They were so excited. My younger daughter gave me a ring and said, "Mum, get down to the shops, I think she's found it." So I took off down the shops, and yeah, she was in tears with it. So we got the dress, and we've had two seamstress fittings because the hem, all the hem and the under hem and everything just needed taking up. Other than that, it fit like a glove and it looked gorgeous on her. So the wedding plans are going ahead. We've been booking things and buying bits and pieces, so that's all really excited. That's going to go ahead in August. Alright, so yeah, like I said, I've been really busy with all sorts of things. It's also, I don't know how cold you are here where you are, but it's been 3 degrees here today, and all of Albury Wodonga has just been under a big, thick, cloudy fog. So it's been freezing, and there's big dumps of snow on the mountains nearby. And okay, just a little side note before we start. I actually filmed making the bookmark first, and then I thought, oh, I should make just a little quick series on this, just a beginner's type thing. So I went back and I filmed this one and the last one. So I sort of did it a little bit back to front. But when I looked at the bookmark video, I realized I hadn't shown you how to do fly stitch. So let's do that. So we're going to come up. I've got a knot in my thread, and we're going to go straight across from that stitch where you came up, okay, and then we're going to put our stitch on an angle in the middle and go like this, so it makes a little Y shape, and then we go back down. Okay, and that is fly stitch. Fly stitch can be used for so many things, and in this video that you're just about to watch, I use fly stitch to make the veins in leaves. Okay, so I hope that is helpful. Let's write it on here, fly stitch, and that can give you some direction in this video that's just about to start. Alright, so as you can see, I'm going to do some paint and stitch today. You've seen these stencils in a past video, and I did say I wanted to do a bit of paint and stitch with them. For the fabric, I bought a pillowcase from the Opshop. Now this pillowcase was beautifully laundered, and this cost me 50 cents, this pillowcase. And I got 14 pieces of fabric out of here that are approximately 6 by 9 inches, and it's a really pale blue, and I thought that would work really good. I can get 14 little projects out of one 50-cent pillowcase. So don't look past the pillowcases when you're at the Opshop. They can make great fabric to do things on. Now I also have a set of these really fine blending brushes. That's how I did my last paint and stitch, and if you missed that, I'll put a link up here or in the description box of my last paint and stitch and all the details of how I did that. I also have this is the only water that I'm using in this tiny little jar, and it's only that full, and I won't use near any of that. I've got a little paint sponge, and I've got a washer in a little tray, and that's my wet tray. Okay, and my colours today are my inktense colours. These are permanent when you put them on fabric and they dry. There's 2 lots of colours in here. This is a 72 pack, and I love my inktense colours. They are just awesome. Here is the colour swatch that you get, or that you know, this is the colour variety that you get in this pack. And it's worth every cent. It is a little bit expensive to buy the 72 pack, but it's worth every cent. And I'll just put this other fabric up out of the way. And I've just got to move a few things around because I did clean my desk right down because I needed to. So hopefully that will help me. But then we need to choose which ones we're going to do. I like these taller ones. Like these ones, they're a tad shorter. They're nice too. But I really like these taller ones. Now, what I was thinking about using these for would be a bookmark in a junk journal, you know, just a long bookmark. Or you could tear your fabric down and add it to the front of a junk journal. You could add it to anything that's stitching, you know, a patchwork project or anything that you're stitching together as well. So there's a lot you can do with stencils and fabric. And I've just got a lot of stencils lately and I just love them. All right, I've got pumpkin soup on the go too, so I better just quickly check that. Okay, that's cooking nicely and it's smelling fabulous. Nothing like a pot of soup on a cold night. Right, what to choose? I'm going to choose a very simple one, and that will be this one here. You can see it in the... Okay, I'm just going to choose a nice simple one, and I'll show you then how to just do something that is really simple and easy. I'm just going to stick this down just with a bit of washi tape too. Alright, now I'll start with the green because that's just easy to pick, and while I'm doing the green I'll think about what colour I'm going to do the top of the flower. Now I'm just going to wet this just the slightest, and my sponge here is dry, and then I'm going to take a lot of that water back off. Okay, and then I will go over to my paints, and this is like this would be a dry technique, dry brushing. And I've got my color chart sitting up above me here so I can see it. You can't see it, but I can. And I'm just going to pick a nice green. So I like beach green, and that's 150. Where are we? This one. Okay, and just make sure your brush is nice and dry, and then we'll take it over to the stencil and you'll just start putting that on. Now I'm doing little tiny little circle motions, and when you come to the edge, start off the stencil and go onto the fabric. And I think it'll do a lot less bleeding if you do that. So when you dip in the water, you're going to take a lot of that water back off onto your sponge. Okay, I think I like that. I'm going to do the other one. See how I'm moving that paint off the stencil onto the fabric? Now the Inktense will stain your stencils a little, but if you give them a wash afterwards, it won't affect the use of your stencils at all. Alright, for the stalk we might go a little bit different. We might go what about a hooker green, 520, this one. No, it's this one up here. Okay, that's my green done. And then we have to think about the flower, don't we? I'm sort of leaning towards a purpley colour. I really like fuchsia in this pack. So let's do that, 0700. And I've used fuchsia in the past. I just really love it. So just get a little bit of water on that brush. This one. A tiny little bit of water. And then we will do I think an orange, this really bright orange. I love this bright orange, which is 1300, which is called Tangerine. I'll do that for the stamens. And we might even bring just a little bit of that orange down into the fuchsia. Okay, and then that is my painting done. Easy as that. Alright, we'll just move a few things. And take your stencil off. And there is our picture. It's as easy as that. Right, I've just washed my stencil, and if you can see, just a slight bit of staining. That's what you end up with on your stencil. But like I said, it will not affect the use of your stencil. Right, let's take this off. And I just want you to notice when you use just a tiny little bit of water, the pigment will stay in the boundary of the stencil, and you can see around the outside the water that's seeped under, not the pigment. Interesting, that is really interesting. Right, I'm going to take this mat off because that's a wet mat. Not that I really need it to be for anything that's real wet, because I'm only using the tiniest amount of water. And what I'm going to do is just iron this. Just wait till my iron gets hot. The last thing that I made, I think it was the whimsical bag, it got red on it from that material, but it doesn't get on the fabric, so I'm not sure what happened there. Now I'm just going to lightly put this over my picture, and it doesn't take long to dry at all because it is done with so little water. The water really is just to activate that colour to get it on your picture, and that's dry. It's all done in real time. Okay, you can turn that off now. And that's all dry, and that's ready to stitch. Alright, so I will get some stitching things together and we'll come back. Okay, it's a different day, it's a different time. I've just gone to start things and something always happens. So I had to spend a couple of days over at my daughter. She had her dog desexed and she didn't want to leave the dog by itself while they were both at work. So I've spent the day over looking after Arrow and doing things over there. A couple of days actually, and yeah, I just haven't got back to this. So let's have a look at it now. We're up to the stitching part of this, and I want to add more little things to this. So in these spaces here, I just want to, what's that? This is my friction pen, which disappears with heat. So I want to put maybe some pistol stitch down in here, like that. And then I want to, now when you do stencils, see some of these lines that cross over and separate your pattern. If you don't like them, just move your pattern down and colour in those little spaces. I'm not worried about this with this because I want to show you what a stencil can do and then what you can do to stitch it. So I am going to maybe put some rickrack over that, and I might put some what do you call it, like petal definitions down like that to separate it, to give you the illusion that there are petals there. Now with these leaves, they're quite big, but what I wanted to do was draw another leaf like this, and it's just going to be like a skeleton leaf, you know, like a just the outside outline of the leaf, and I might do fly stitch or something like that in there to bring that leaf to life, just so it gives you another dimension to this pattern. And then we'll go around the edge of this leaf too, or we'll put just a center line in like this, like that. And then with the stalk we will I like to chain stitch and then whip stitch that, so we'll do something like that with the stalk. All right, so that's the extra sort of patterning that I want to add onto here. Now you can totally not do this. You could just outline your stencil picture and do it like that, just keep it really simple, but I just want to add that little dimension to this make today. Alright, we're going to start stitching, and I've got this beautiful set of they're rayons, and I bought them off Temu. Aren't they gorgeous? Then that's not all the colours. There's a few more colours in another box that I couldn't fit in this one, but they are gorgeous colours, and I used these in my last paint and stitch. Right, I'm going to put this in a hoop. I had a quick start to that, and I just thought, no, I'm going to put this in a hoop because it wasn't being nice. It wasn't playing nice for me. Right, you stay in there now. So we'll get this going again. Right, we're just going to do chain stitch up the stem. Right, now I'm just going to loop around each of those chain stitch loops with the back of my needle and do a whip stitch right back down to the bottom. And you can see that that's given you just a little bit more bulk and definition there, and I can see the paint in behind it. All right, I think we'll go for a different color for the leaves just to give it a little highlight. Yeah. All right, we're going to do the stem on the we're going to do the middle what do you call it, the vein in the leaf on this one, and I'm just going to just do a back stitch. I think I don't want it to be anything thick and serious, just a nice line. Okay, for these more skeleton type leaves, I've got a different color green on again. So I've got 3 different color greens. Now to go around the outside, we're just going to do what we've been doing up the stem of the vein of the other leaves, just a back stitch. Right, we'll do that around the edge of our leaf, and then the inside of the leaf we'll do a fly stitch, I think, and add that structure to that leaf. So we'll get up to the end of here, and I'll show you what I mean by doing a fly stitch. And see, I'm not making these stitches even either. There's some long ones, there's some short ones, wherever my needle pokes out, I try to get it in the right place. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Okay, now I'm going to do this fly stitch. I have to remember how I do it now. We'll see, I've got these here. So you come out, or you come up at one of these points on one side. You go down at the other point that you want on your leaf. Don't go all the way down. Got a little loose loop there. And then I'm going to come up in the middle of that leaf. Oi! And then that will be my first fly stitch. Oi! Stop! Okay, and then what we do, we go, I'm just going to make a little stitch down to there. Oi! Okay, can you see that? So our second one, we go back over to the other side of the leaf where I've drawn that line. Okay, and then back in over to this point where I drew the line. And don't go all the way yet, and then come up in the middle at the end of that stitch that I did in the middle, and then pull that tight. Isn't that cool? And that's just going to give me that little skeleton look. And then go down the middle of the leaf again. Okay, so we'll do that down to the bottom. And I'm just going to come up one side, go down on the other side, and before I pull it tight, I'm going to come back up at the middle, at the bottom of that middle line there, and then give that a little tug, and then go down to the next middle leaf, or big piece of fluff there, like that. Isn't that cool? I love the look that that's giving me. I'll do that on this side. Go over to this side of the leaf. And before we bring all that up, we go to the up into the middle. Untangle everything. I think my threads come unthreaded. Right, and then we'll go down to the bottom. And look at that pretty little skeleton there. And then we will continue then with the back stitch of this leaf. Okay, that's how my leaf turned out, or both my leaves. Don't they look pretty? It just adds a different dimension onto just a flat picture. So I'm going to put this in a smaller hoop now just to do the top part, because that one was getting just a little bit big for my hands, I think. And we will get on with doing the flower. Now I've picked this beautiful fuchsia colour. Right, now I'm going to come up down the bottom, and I am going to outline all of my flower and these two lines that I've drawn here for the petal, and it's just going to be like all the others. This is going to be a really simple back stitch. I'm keeping all this really simple. Where did I go? Oh, I went in the wrong way. So that you can see that you can do something like this yourself. Alright, we've done all the outline and the outline of our petal up there. I'm going to skip right up to here because now I'm going to put in a piece of rickrack, and that's going to go across my flower. I might put a little pin in that, that might be helpful, and then we can add that to our design. Right, I'll trim it up when I'm finished, but all I'm going to do is like anchor this. Where's the end of my pin? I'll anchor this at this end. And up here, so that I know that it's anchored off well before I cut it. Okay, and then I'm going to go in these valleys and do those little what do you call them, just little cross not cross things, but just go either side of those little dips down. I don't know what you call it, but then I'll go back over to this little hill and just go into there, and I'll just do that little pattern. Oh gosh, come undone again. And I'll just do that little pattern all the way across to anchor my rickrack down. So I'm just coming up either side of those little hills. Get the pin out of the way now you can see, and then going over to that side. So it gives it like a little up and down sort of effect along with the rickrack. Zigzaggy sort of thing. And all of this is for, I mean, it's going to add some texture to your picture, but it's hiding that little space that I didn't fill in. And you could do this with anything. You could do it with lace or whatever you can find that might look good along there. Have a look in your stash. I know I've got a whole container of just little bits of lace and offcuts and things, so that's where all your little stashy things come in handy to do little things, stitching things like this. This is where your patience comes in handy. Come on. I love this thread, but there's a bit of a catch to choosing that thread. So you start to have a love-hate relationship with it, because you love the look of it, but sometimes hate how it sews. But it all creates patience. Right, now we're going to do our last stitch in that, and then I will anchor that off, and I'll just put a little stitch in either side like I did in the first end, just in the rickrack, just to hold that down. And then I'll finish that off at the back. And then we'll cut our rickrack. Where did my needle go? Oh, there it is. Right, we'll cut our rickrack just a little bit either side of that. And then what I'm going to do is just fray that rickrack out a little. Just like that, just to give a little fun look. Okay, and that's the rickrack in. Doesn't that look pretty? Right. Now we're going to find a colour that can go nice with these stamens. And I think I'll choose like a yellowy orange colour. There's so many colour choices in there, and like I said, this isn't the whole set. And I just love the colour choices that it gives you. And you know, I got all these beads and all sorts of things out for this project, but I don't think it really needs it. You could put them on, for sure you could put them on. But this first one, I don't think I'll do that. Now, pistol stitch, we're going to come up where the base of the flower, the top of the flower is there. Okay, oh, don't get tangled around everything. And then we're going to do like you would do a French knot. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to wind it 3 times. Instead of going back to the base here like a French knot, you're going to go in here so that it gives you the knot at the end of the thread, not at the beginning of the thread. Okay, so it gives you a nice little knot right up here. And that then makes it look like you've got a little stamen on the end of your thread. Okay, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and just make sure your needle is pulled nice and snug. Where's your, like that, and just keep it nice and snug as you pull it down. Don't get tangled on everything, and keep it nice and snug as you pull it, and don't get tangled on everything like I said. Then go down to the next one, and like I said, I will get rid of those marks when we're finished, so don't stress about them because they will disappear. So keep that string tensioned as you pull it. And then our last one, and we come unthreaded once again. So much fluff on this thing. When we do our last pistol stitch, we'll wind around it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Go put your needle in at that the end where you want it and hold that thread. Look what I've done there. Oh gosh, hang on. We need to undo this. It's got tangled. Right, got you. You rotter. I love these frames, but yeah, these things here, but you know what, you get tangled on the other ones too, the wooden ones, so they're all a muchness. All right, let's do that last one. There we go, and we've got our pistol stitch done. Now I'm going to come down and add these stamens. So what we're going to do there is pull, make sure that's all pulled tight at the back. Now I've got some little sequins here, and they're real pretty. I think I got them at the Opshop. They've got little see the little rings on them? They're so pretty. So I'm going to put one of them on. Actually, I'll do this stitch first, okay, to the stamen, then we'll come up into the middle. Now we'll put this little sequin on, and then I've got these little sequins too. They are gorgeous, tiny little flower ones. Look at them shine. So let's put one of them on too, and then we are going to put a little bead on to finish it. Let's have a look what's in here. I might pick a yellow one. And that's just like a little stopper bead, because we'll go in. Oh, of course it's not going to go through that. Right, we need to change the needle. Now I'm just going to put a little yellow bead then. And so we miss that bead and go back down through the sequins. And I've got so much fluff on everything. Isn't that cute? So then I'm going to come back up the base here to do the next one. I'll put one stitch in. And if you're interested in these stencils, I can leave a link below, a Temu link, and you can check them out if you want. So we got that one on, a little flower one, and one little yellow bead. We miss the bead and go back through both the sequins. And then come back down to the flower base and do the last one. Actually, I'm not going not in the right spot there. Come back up over here. And come back up in the middle. And put a sequin and flower sequin, if I can get you, and then a little yellow bead. And miss that bead and go down through both the sequins. Why aren't you going down? There we go. Isn't that cute? That's so cute. Right, I'm just going to finish it off over here. And then I'm just going to see if that needs anything else. Do you know what? I've taken this in the wrong way. And I can see where I've gone wrong. So let's thread this back up and I'll show you. Because this part here represents the middle of the flower, doesn't it? So we should have come up from right down here and taken those threads up to meet those ones. Pickle, go sit down. And sometimes he gets all needy and has to get me to nurse him. Go on, go sit down. Go be a good boy. I just took him to the treat shop. I thought, oh, he had a play with his frisbee, and we went to the treat shop, so which isn't far from where we live. He knows the way. He knows the way, and he pulls the whole time. So I thought, if he does that, he might sit and be a good boy for me. But he's getting all needy again. I think the sun has gone off the bed. He's getting all cold. But he's got a jumper on. Right, that looks better because it's coming out from the center of the flower. Now I'm just going to add some little bits. I think I'll just make that little center bit look full. So I'm just going to add some little straight stamens. I might have to put some more thread on. And I think I like that a lot better. Gives it a nice little full look in the flower there. Alright, and then we'll finish that off. And then I might go ahead and do a little bit of thread painting on the bottom of the flower. I think it needs something else down there. Did I? Did that knot off? Yeah. And then I think it needs a little bit of thread painting down here. Now, I didn't turn the video on. What I did was just cut the sides because I had this much on my sides. Okay, because you do need that much to be able to handle it to stitch. I just put a little clip in it and I tore it. And I didn't even show you that. And I didn't even show you this. I just put some stitches in here just to give the flower a little bit of colour in the base there. They were just straight stitches. So I've cut it now. I mean, I've finished the flower and I tore my edges down. This is going to be a bookmark. So yeah, don't tear your edges until you're finished it because you need that width to be able to handle it in the stitching process. Okay, and then you can go ahead and fray it. Oh, that's frayed enough there. This one's coming on down here, and then you can go ahead and fray it. Now I'm going to back this as well, so we'll come back and I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Now I'm going to back this. Now you could, I just want to cover all this in because it's going to be a bookmark and you'll see the back of it. So you could put fancy fabric, like a printed fabric on the back of this. That would look really nice. I'm just going to put the same fabric on because I've got it here next to me. And this is what I did to this one. Just tore it like that, as simple as that. It's not hard to do. And then I'm going to see how that lines up and tear it on the other end. Yeah, I was doing this all on camera talking to you and I wasn't even turned on. Oh, I'm still this flu brain fog takes a little while to leave you sometimes. And yeah, just get all the little loose ends off. And I'm just going to line that up as best I can. Put some pins in it. I'll just put 2 pins in it. Like that. Right, And then I am going to do some stitching. This is just going to be a nice, really fine crochet thread. But I know it's a really, really fine crochet thread. If I can see the end of it. This is one I got from the Opshops. Is it the end? Oh, it is too. Now, I pick up at these really fine ones just to do sewing with. Instead of using just like a sewing cotton. I think, look, if you have a look at it, it's the sewing cotton is thinner, just a little bit thinner, but this is going to be a lot stronger than just some regular sewing cotton, and I think that will work well. All right. Now all I'm going to do to finish this project is some of this slow stitching, you know, with the running stitch. You're going to go in and out and in and out. You can stab stitch it, or you can do a few stitches at a time. And I'm not worried if they're not all even or straight. I'm just going to get it done. Okay, I'm just going to do one line. I might go back and forward for a little bit, then I might change direction, whatever I feel like doing. And that's going to be the background that will pull all of this little bookmark together. Alright, so I've got all the slow stitching done on the background of my bookmark. I really like how that's come up. You can see the texture there in the light. And it's all in different directions, however I felt like going over the bookmark. And it's brought it together nicely. It's closed in the back. And to finish this off, I think I might do a blanket stitch around the edge. Okay, I'm going to do a blanket stitch around the outside. I've hidden my knot between the layers so I can just secure that end, and then we will go all the way around. Okay, I've just got some neon orange thread out of my box, and I'm doing another blanket stitch, but just in the space of the previous one, like this, just to add a little bit of colour to the edge. And I like that. It's rough and ready, but I don't mind that. Okay, that is my blanket stitch all finished. I've done the fuchsia, then I put this really electric coloured orange in between that, and it's just gave it a nice little pop around the edge, and I'm really happy how that's come up. It's nice and it feels nice, like when you put all that little stitch work in it, it just gives it a really nice feel. And yeah, that's as simple as it gets. All simple stitching. That is my paint and stitch little bookmark. So I hope you've enjoyed looking at this little hand stitched bookmark with using these stencils and some fabric from the Opshop, with just a few little bits and pieces like the rickrack and some little sequins, and just placing your flowers in a different little position just to give it interest in how that looks. It's so easy to do, and when you start on something little like a bookmark, it gives you confidence to go and do something a little bit bigger. So my next one, I think I would do it on a piece like this, another blue piece of fabric this size, the 6x9, and I think I'll make it for the front of a junk journal or something like that, and then this one can go in that junk journal as a bookmark. Give me a thumbs up and a like and a share if you've enjoyed what you've seen here today. Leave me a comment below. I would love to hear what you have to say, and just even if you just say hi, I would love to say hi to you. And I will see you again soon for a new video, a new make. And in the meantime, rug up, stay warm and take care. Happy crafting. Bye.